Hello, everyone, and welcome to the regular Town Council meeting on July the 18th of the Town of Vegreville. I call the meeting to order at 7 o'clock. First up, we'll look for a motion to adopt today's agenda. Councilor Curtis makes the motion. Is there any additions or deletions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Carried. Thank you. Next up, I'll need a motion to adopt the minutes of this meeting. Councillor Bullock makes the motion. Any errors or omissions within those minutes of our last regular meeting? Seeing none, all those in favor? Carried. Okay, our first delegation today is the Child Care Cooperative First. And we are going to have Candace Minot. Take it away, Candace.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Mayor McPhee, for the warm welcome. To the other esteemed council members, thank you also for the opportunity to present today, and also the employees of the town of Vegreville and community members. We appreciate having this time here today. My name is Candace Minot. I'm the Community Engagement Coordinator at Cooperatives First, and I'd like to introduce my colleague, Kathy Edwards, who is the entrepreneur in residence at Cooperatives First as well. So we are here to speak about child care co-ops, and I am sharing my screen. Is everyone seeing my screen at this time?
We're good.
Okay, all right, great. So Kathy will start the presentation and I will conclude.
Thank you, Candace.
Hi, Kathy. Sorry, we're not actually seeing your screen just yet. On the bottom right-hand corner, when your mic is activated, you should see a little computer monitor. If you hover over it, you can click Share Your Screen, and from there, we'll be able to see it, because we can't actually see the presentation. I can share it on my end if need be as well, but you should be able to share from your side.
Okay, I thought you were seeing my screen. Okay, no problem.
Perfect.
Are you seeing my screen now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect, Candace. Thank you. So as Candace mentioned, thank you for the warm welcome, everyone. I think that we're here because childcare is being recognized as an urgent and pressing matter in communities across Canada. I will apologize in advance. I have a bit of a smoky jazz singer voice thanks to a laboring cold that won't seem to go away. But my name is Kathy Edwards, and yes, I'm the entrepreneur in residence at Cooperatives First. So my background is in accounting and law, but really I'm a serial entrepreneur. So I love to be involved in startups in both the for-profit and the not-for-profit spectrum. I started consulting with Cooperatives First about 4 years ago and have now taken on this role as entrepreneur in residence. Which has put me at the forefront of our child care expansion project. What's really interesting about Cooperatives First is I see a number of different types of cooperatives that we get to assist. We really think of ourselves as an incubator for the cooperative business model. So we've been founded by Federated Co-op and the cooperative retailing system, and we're able to offer assistance to our clientele on a free basis. There is no fee for our services. As I mentioned, once I came on board, what we saw was this mandate across Canada to create childcare spaces. And what we saw was a lack of business support for folks who wanted to start that initiative. So we were successful in securing a Prairies Can funding grant to help roll this initiative out across the Prairie provinces. Next slide. So as we touched on, and I'm sure it's no surprise, there is a shortage of childcare. And this was identified as a federal initiative by way of the bilateral agreements that the federal government entered into with all of the provinces. As part of this mandate, there is a requirement or a threshold for each province to create a vast number of childcare spaces, the majority of which must be created on a not-for-profit basis. And what we're seeing is that this is a huge ask, it's a big mandate, and the only solution to this problem is a multi-stakeholder or community development approach. So yeah, Vegreville, I'm sure, is not unlike any other region in Canada. If you're not familiar with the term childcare desert, what that means in a nutshell is that for every one licensed childcare space, there are 3 or more children competing for the opportunity to have that care. So in Manitoba and Saskatchewan, the numbers are not great, but in Alberta, over 61% of kids live in a childcare desert. And this information is compiled by the Centre for Policy Alternatives in Canada. So what brings Cooperatives First to be speaking to your council tonight? So a community not unlike your own, the community of Maple Creek was one of our clients. And in 2022, it was actually their economic development officer who reached out to us and said, you know, we are fielding calls here at the town office from frustrated employers who can't hire employees, and the school can't retain teachers because there's a lack of childcare in the community. And they were really, really feeling the pinch. And I'm sure, as you can appreciate, the conundrum was they didn't want to create municipal childcare, but they wanted to help in some way, shape, or form. So they wanted to see what kind of solutions we could create. And what we came up with was what we're calling a multi-stakeholder or community approach to childcare. So what we want to clarify here is that when you hear childcare cooperative, normally you think of a parent-run cooperative, and that is not what we are proposing. This model of cooperative is very, very versatile and allows the group to bring together a wide cross-section of community players to create a unique and innovative childcare solution. And that's what we did in Maple Creek. So that combination was the town itself was a member, the rural municipality was a member, the neighboring Niikaniit First Nation was a member. They had a great institution that offered childcare training. They joined as a member, as well as a number of parents and retired community members who just wanted to be involved. So what it really was a display of was the phrase, many hands make light work. They came together to create a brand new facility for their community, which originally was 42 spaces. They haven't opened the doors yet, but they have already increased enrollment to 60 spaces. So they're very excited, and we've created a model that's workable. So aside from the win for Maple Creek, it's important to remember that the impact of childcare is far-reaching within a community. So it has been proven in studies that by creating childcare, there is an economic multiplier effect, so that every $1 spent on childcare results in a further $1.38 to $2.54 generated within the community. What's interesting about that is those studies were done before the advent of $10 a day childcare. So theoretically, with parents having access to more affordable care, they will have greater disposable income to spend in your community. There's also a strong tie to maternal employment, positive outcomes for children, and it's a very important feature of school systems. So as I mentioned, the clock is ticking on this program. So the federal rollout was to create these spaces by the year 2026. And the calendar is flying by, and there is still a great amount of work to be done. So in your community, through the federal funding, you can access $5,000 to $6,000 per childcare space. And there's also a new program coming out through the CMHC that will offer interest-free, low interest, and grants to new nonprofit childcare facilities. The details of that program have not yet been released, but we are assured they are forthcoming. Candace, I'll hand it off to you.
Thank you, Kathy. So many of you may know what a cooperative is, but just to reiterate Kathy's point, it's ideal for a group of people who see a need in their community or see a problem that they want to solve. It is a legal organization, and the beauty of a cooperative is that it's governed by one member, one vote. So, as it relates to institutional partners, whether it be municipalities, each member has equality. All members are owners of the cooperative, so they too have a say in the running and operations of the cooperative. And they can participate through the AGM in making decisions for the cooperative. Ideally, a community service cooperative is an excellent model because it puts service over profit. So for the community, this is a model that we have found has worked very well. Why would a cooperative work in your situation? It's ideally a situation where a group of people, a collective, can come together to create solutions. It's very flexible, versatile in terms of you can have members who are individuals, institutional organizations, or corporations. There is transparency. Each member and owner has access to information, and also the idea that you have a purposeful organization which belongs to the community and prioritizes service over individualized profits. So we encourage groups, in order to get started, engage your community, and this is a great exercise that's happening now because we want for groups to get their municipalities involved, have dialogue with your council members, and start the conversation. It's important because you'll have to put together a steering committee of at least 3 individuals or entities, and this steering committee eventually goes on to form the board. Another key thing that we've identified in this process is that staffing is an issue. So if you have persons within your community who are qualified and are able to offer themselves as employees to the cooperative, now is a great time to be looking at potential staff and also be looking at spaces within the community that can facilitate the child care center. In terms of what we can provide in terms of supports, firstly, we do offer incorporation support. So we help in the submission and payment as it relates to incorporating the entity. We have tools that we've developed that will also assist in terms of assessing the community needs. And we have very good workbooks and also financial operating templates that help you to put together a solid business plan so you can access additional funding and also, as we like to call it, be investment ready. In terms of governance support, we also provide training and other additional activities that will help to bolster your board. In terms of facility planning, we have currently engaged a number of engineers who can do to scale drawings if required to also support in this process because we found that our clients really do have to have a lot of funds available if they plan to build, if they plan to expand, and we also support in terms of that. In terms of operational guidance, we provide business coaching so that you can understand what your operational expenses will be, and as a team, you can be up, running, and ready to go. We just want to take this opportunity to thank you for allowing us to present today, and we will open the floor for any questions from the council at this time.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for the presentation, and I think that we're a little more enlightened on how this program can work, and understanding that there is funding and low interest loans and grant money through CMHC is something I never thought about. So is there any questions for Candace at this time? Sure. Go ahead, Councillor Curtis.
Thank you, and thanks very much for the presentation. So my question is, what have other towns, municipalities brought forward as stakeholders in some of the other areas that you've been to? What was the ask exactly of the towns?
Do you want me to handle that?
Go ahead, Ms. Kathy.
So in some communities, they have offered land. They've offered tax abatements. They've offered participation, so continued guidance and participation from the board, which is sometimes really important because simple tasks for what is a simple task for a community administrator, a town administrator to keep minutes and a meeting minute book can be burdensome to a volunteer parent board. But largely they've contributed land and some of the other organizations we've worked with. Sorry, I'm getting some feedback. There we go. Some of the other organizations we've worked with have also engaged institutional players and corporate partners in the community to support the endeavor as well. I want to be abundantly clear that the program funding that is available in Alberta does not fill the bucket. So there is still a financial need above and beyond what grant funding is available.
Thank you.
So, Kathy, I would have a question. If there was a low-interest loan that could be attained through CMHC, who would be the guarantor? Would personally somebody within the co-op, the organization, or how would that look? I mean, we think we've all borrowed money, and so.
Right. No, they haven't rolled out the details of that yet. Normally, they will not ask for personal guarantees because it is a not-for-profit entity. The cooperative would be a legal entity, and that would be who would be seeking the loan. The guarantee or the chattel on the loan would be the building itself or the facility. Okay. So if you're doing a new build, of course, that would be their security. If you're doing an enhancement, you would probably need a significantly smaller pool of funds.
Okay, makes sense. Go ahead, Councillor Rudick.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Very interested to see how this might work. What I'm curious about is how much uptake there has been on your particular model, because this is an issue for many communities. Our size is potentially a little bit bigger than Maple Creek, for example, but there are lots of communities that are having a challenge. So how often have you made this presentation to Alberta colleagues?
We literally just started rolling the program out in Alberta in the middle of April. So we got funding in January. Our program will serve Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba, and our mandate to the program is to create 15 cooperatives. We will be done that by this summer. So we've seen a tremendous uptake because it's so versatile. So in some communities like Maple Creek, it was a combination of the municipality, rural municipality, the nation, and some other folks. In other communities, it looks different. So we are working with a community where BHP, one of the big mining corporations, is going to be expanding. So they are a partner in the cooperative. They have provided financial investment for a right of first refusal on daycare or childcare spaces, and they have a seat on the board. So they don't have all of the power, but they certainly have a voice at the table and are getting something long-term for their investment. So that's part of the versatility of this model. I think as we start to gain traction in Alberta, this will really be a good fit for a number of communities like your own.
So your funding is coming from Perry's Can right now, and
Yes.
and is it for a 2-year, 1 year? Is it going to end in April, or do you know?
It's until 2026. So
Okay.
we're tied. We're sort of on that same mandate as the federal rollout of the bilateral agreements.
Okay, well, looks like it's a good idea for sure. I mean, there's a lot of money tied up in Western diversification. Prairie Kansas is only one small chunk of it, so, yeah, so. Any other questions? Go ahead, Councillor Barry.
Thank you. Just one question. You point out that individuals can participate and be involved. If an individual wanted to just donate money, is there a tax receipt available? If they're wanting to?
The only way that would be possible is if the not-for-profit cooperative would pursue charitable status, which is something you could certainly do. So if you had a lot of individuals who expressed interest, then that would be something that the cooperative could do, is attain that status, just like any not-for-profit organization can do that.
Okay.
Excellent. So we have a delegation here, some members that are on the ground floor. And is there an ask of the town right now?
So as of right now in the document, we have, the ask to the town.
Nobody can hear you. You need to go to the podium.
I'll go
to the mic.
with you. Hello. So as of right now for initiative, our ask to the town would be to join as a stakeholder in the new non-for-profit childcare center. And this would request in the line of the town of Vegreville in our goal number 2 that we have, which is not on there right now. But then just due to the lack of childcare services being a barrier to the economic stability and community growth, we've heard that some businesses are impacted because employees are forced to leave their jobs, their hours are they're having to reduce their hours due to inadequate childcare options. Also, some businesses are finding it hard to attract individuals to relocate due to the absence of childcare. Constantly we're having phone calls of wondering if they're potentially thinking about moving to Vegreville. There's no childcare. I tell them our wait list is over 50-some children right now, and they're like, well, do you know of anything else in the area? And I'm having to tell them that there's nothing. It's either Vegreville, Mandare, surrounding areas, but as for Vegreville, our hands are tied at the daycare. So as of right now, that's kind of where we stand, is to potentially look at if you guys are interested in being stakeholders. Do you have anything else?
No, I'm just to say, like, I'm a mother. Fortunately, I work at the daycare, so I get priority. So my children are in daycare, but I can't imagine what it would be if I didn't have that possibility. I listen to Kayla daily, turning parents basically to the door. We can add you to our wait list. Our wait list is over 50 children. And that parents can't go back to work, can't join the community. And I'm not kidding when I hear this call often, and Kayla's like, should I even add them to the wait list to this point, especially if they're a 4-year-old? 4-year-olds are not getting into our daycare because we need to, again, we've mentioned prior, toddlers, babies, because they're moving up and they're going to take the preschool side. So it is a huge need. It's very alarming that we have to turn away so many children, especially because we are the only licensed facility for daycare and I mean for like even 3 to down, which we know is a very big issue in Vegreville, that there is other like preschool and whatnot, but they don't take children nursery. They don't take children that aren't potty trained. We do. So yeah, it would be great to make sure that all children are getting quality, nurturing care.
Well, we definitely, council sees this situation is not good for town, but it is an economic problem in our community. And of course, everybody knows we're trying to attract industry. Here it's 75, 100 employees in each industry we're trying to bring, and it's going to be a problem, like housing is, and so is labor. So we feel that economic development, what we're trying to move ahead with, this is a key cog in it, and we certainly will want to be there and support in any way we can. I mean, it's not to say that we can just write a big check, but we do have land, and we do have some skill set within our organization. And so you'll be looking for someone to join your organization to represent the town of Vegreville is what you would need.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. So we have a bit of a solution, we think, to move forward for this. We're just going to need a couple of days just to confirm who's going to represent on your committee. So we feel that grassroots is the only way that this is going to get fixed, is starting from where you are now, and with the help of this cooperative organization, with their leadership and the fact that they can help access some money that we probably didn't know where to go for it, is a very positive thing.
Oh, yes, and that's one big thing is that we both work full-time. I'm a full-time mom. How am I supposed to help get this going with all the background? That's why we need your help. Like, who's going to help organize if we don't have the cooperators backing us to fill in all the blanks and whatnot to get it done?
Well, with the organization we just heard from,
Yes.
plus some local talent,
Yes.
and if there's a will there, it'll get done. So I think there's not one of us here that we've talked about this for many times. And just the fact that, you know, losing medical staff in our community because there's no daycare. And when we want to try to fill our new Prosperity Park with at least 400 employees, and they're probably going to need some daycare. So, yeah, I think that we can tell you right now that we will be part of your organization. We just need a couple of days to confirm how we can have somebody there to bring at least our voice to the table, and the voice of the county, and try to represent everybody in the region. Because we work very well with the county, and we know that they have children in the county too, and a lot of people work in our community, and so we'll try to work that with the county and see what we can bring and represent both municipalities to your organization.
Thank you.
Yeah,
We appreciate.
No, you go
I was
ahead.
like- I was just gonna say, we appreciate as the daycare, as a committee as a whole, for your guys' time that you've put into it. Cause it's been something, I've been in working in childcare for going on 6.5, almost 7 years. And it's been a demand since I left college in early childhood. So it's something that's a continuous, and it will be a continuous thing. So we thank you guys for taking the time to be a part of it.
And we're actually talking with a new training center that wants to open in Vegreville, and childcare courses is one of the things that they can offer as well.
That's perfect.
Yes, it is. It's,
Right
we're a
on-
little
right
bit
on
out in
cue.
front of this right now,
Right on cue.
but we sure appreciate, you know, the effort that somebody to start this, and we feel exactly the way everybody else does, that is economic development is what needs to, from our point of view, is what's going to drive the town.
Absolutely.
Does anybody else have anything else?
All right, perfect. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you both. Are we still live with Kathy and Candace?
Yes, but we'll be signing off now. Thank you so much. Don't hesitate to email either one of us if you have any further follow-up questions, but this sounds like a very exciting start.
Well, as soon as you hear about how that grant funding's rolling out, make sure we're the first on your send list.
Absolutely. You'll be top of mind.
Okay. Well, we
Thank you
appreciate.
so much. Have a
Right.
good evening.
Thank you both.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye. Excellent. So, probably Sandra or Jameson will get a hold of you the next few days and let you know how we would have somebody set with your group and represent us, so.
Our next scheduled meeting is July 24th.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, next up, we have some correspondence from the library board.
Okay, this is a letter from the Town of Vegreville Library Board. It's regarding their Books, Bites, and Bits sale. Dear Sandra Ling, Mayor McPhee, and Town of Vegreville Council members. The Town of Vegreville Library Board is excited to be hosting our Books, Bites, and Bits sale. The sale will be on August 24th, 2024, from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. During the sale, we will hold a fundraising barbecue and sell used books, baked goods, and donated crafts. In addition, we invite the community to come into the library as well for some fun and games on the back patio. Throughout the year, we have been working towards completing a new plan of service, which is the process of determining goals and objectives based on an assessment of the community needs. The fundraiser gives us a unique opportunity to allow our board to converse with our patrons and community members about what they would like our library to provide in the future. We are requesting volunteers from town council to assist us with this event in hopes that we can raise money for our budget shortfall and collect information for our plan of service. We thank you in advance for your attention to our event and any help you can provide. Sincerely, the Town of Vegreville Library Board.
Okay, take a motion to receive and file. Councilor Rudick makes the motion. Any discussion? I'll start off, that's a Saturday, correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay. I am myself, too, I know where I'm gonna be in Athabasca, so. Is there anybody else that can participate in this? You can do it, Councilor Bullock?
I don't even know if I can, I'm on the board. I'm supposed to be away.
Okay, so Councilor Bullock says that he can attend, and Councilor Rawawa will be checking her schedule and getting back to you, Leslie, on that.
Okay. I do have a meeting tomorrow night for them, or it's Wednesday night with them, so as well.
Please send me an invite.
I'll get you more info.
Okay. So we're all good? All those in favor of the motion? Carried. Thank you. Next up, Director Saskew, welcome back to your first council meeting officially for quite a while.
Thank you, Your Worship. Yeah, it's been a year. I have here the monthly cash statement for the month ended May 31st, 2024. At the beginning of the month, we had 3.9 million in cash, and we ended the month of May at 3.3 million in cash. So a net decrease of 500,000. Major sources of cash for the month were 153,000 for GST refund, 150,000 ACP grant. That's the recreation one, and it's actually for 200,000, but they gave us the lump sum of 150, and we'll receive the 50 once we start submitting some receipts. And we also, in the month of May, did our tax notice assessment. Our tax AR, when we first did the assessment, was 8.7 million. At the end of May, we had a balance of 7.7 million outstanding. So we actually received 1,013,000 in tax payments in the month of May. So that's exciting. No, the Majesty, the King, has not paid their balances, so we still are at $1 million outstanding for them right now. That is as of today's date. And then as of today's date, we have a remaining unpaid balance of taxes of 840,000. So not related to the May statement, but just a little FYI. Major uses of cash for this month were 180,000 for the lift station, 995,000 for the shallows, 56,000 for the new fleet truck, and 95,000 for the purchase of water. So at the end of the month, we had $3.384,907. And that's okay.
Okay, so I'll take a motion to accept the statement as read. Firstly, Councilor Berry makes the motion. Any questions? So we better phone the King and get his accounts payable department and see what's going on.
Lately, they have been paying before December 31st, but That is the one, if you remember, our indicator was a big red X that year because of our tax collection rate, and it was 99% because of them. So I'm got my eye on it. I normally send an email in September if we haven't received anything by then. But they never pay on time, and we're not allowed to penalize them, so.
And it's kind of odd, to tell you the truth, that year that we got the lower mark, and it was basically what was owed by the Crown. And myself and Councillor Rudick attended a Alberta Munis event, and we brought it up and started asking around the room, and most people were paid on time. Most municipalities were, but we weren't. So I don't know if we're just not liked, or
We're at the bottom, or the V,
Oh, the
at the
V.
end of the alphabet.
let's change our name to A. Vegreville. That's what I did in the Yellow Pages for a lot of years. But, so, I don't think we'll let it go that long as we did last time. As soon as we think that it's appropriate, we'll light a fire.
Yeah, that was probably 5 years ago now, so.
Yeah. But it was funny that everybody else was all paid up and we weren't. Thought it was kind of odd. We did bring it up with elected officials. And, yeah, I don't really think they cared that much. Yeah. Okay, all those in favor? Gary, thank you very much. Next up, Manager Newt. Take it away.
Thank you, Your Worship. At the Legislative Committee meeting on July 9th, administration brought forward the draft Community PSOS Reporting Requirements Policy as directed in Section 21.0 of the Program Reporting Responsibilities of the Public Peace Officer Security Program. To ensure compliance with the program, each municipality is required to create, understand, and adhere to the reporting policy. As a recommendation today, Your Worship, is to approve the policy MOS 2010 in front of you as presented.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll take a motion for the recommendation. Councillor Warwa makes the motion. Discussion. Councillor Rudick.
So, just so I'm clear, we talked about this at the Ledge meeting previously, but there was reporting that was taking place. It just wasn't under the umbrella of legislation or policy on our part. Is that correct?
Yeah, through to the chair and to Councillor Rudick, that is correct. Yeah, we've had the reporting requirements since the program has been in place. Just a lack of legislation on the policy end of our things. The program requires us to have a policy.
So I'll ask you, Manager Newton, so the policy that we're seeing here, that you've laid out here, we've looked at other municipalities, how they're doing it, or we've talked to the municipal government, to municipal affairs, or where?
So under the program, the Peace Officer program, the policy is basically laid out in their policy manual. We just have to have our own policy to adhere to it.
Have we made any changes that are unique to Vegreville in here?
No, Your Worship.
Not yet. Okay, any other discussion? All those in favor? Carried. Thank you very much. Next up, look at this, Jameson Brown, Community Engagement and Economic Development Manager, Annual Report.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. As you referenced, this is in regards to the publication and distribution of the Town of Vegreville's 2023 Annual Report, and the proposal is to publish the aforementioned report online at vegreville.com. Since 2019, the Town of Vegreville has released an annual report in the hopes of capturing department highlights, functions, and accomplishments of the preceding calendar year in an engaging manner. The annual report also includes an in-depth financial analysis that demonstrates the town's financial position and commitment to ongoing fiscal responsibility and transparency. To minimize printing costs, the 2023 annual report will be published online with the option for residents to request a printed copy by visiting the Town of Vegreville Administration Office. Financial implications would be nominal due to the provision of printed copies by request only. Our communication strategy upon publication of the report at vegreville.com. Links to the report will be shared on the Town of Vegreville social media channels, highlighting what the report is, its online publication, and that physical copies are available upon request. And the recommendation from administration as it pertains to this matter is that Town Council approve the publication and distribution of the report as presented.
Okay, take a motion for the recommendation. Councillor Curtis was first. Any discussion? I think that you heard at the Ledge meeting that all of council thought that the report was well done, and it was kudos to you and your staff. It looks very good. Okay, all those in favor? Carried. So for this next item, I am going to ask Deputy Mayor, Councillor Lemko, to take over the chair, please.
Turn this over to you, Jameson, to present your request.
Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor Lemko. This is in regards to the intermunicipal cost-sharing model for Crossroads Economic Development Alliance 2025 programming. And the proposal is to endorse the local government fiscal framework model for the partial funding of the municipal commitment of the Crossroads Economic Development Alliance's 2025 Small Community Opportunity Program grant. In October of 2023, the town of Vegreville signed a memorandum of understanding with the County of Minburn, the Village of Manville, and the Village of Innisfree to create the Crossroads Economic Development Alliance. This alliance was formally established after a successful $187,000 grant application to the Alberta Communities Partnership. As of 2024, the Crossroads Economic Development Alliance has contracted Outlook Market Research to oversee the development of a regional economic development framework. Outlook Market Research has since hired a regional economic development specialist to complete a business retention and expansion project, which includes ongoing meetings with regional business owners and a business owner-operator survey. This work is expected to continue through the remainder of 2024. To sustain CEDA's efforts into 2025, the County of Minburn successfully applied for the Small Community Opportunity Program grant. This grant will offset most costs associated with the Regional Economic Development Communications Project intended to strengthen online platforms, update regional agriculture profiles, create a site selection developers package, and promote alliance outcomes. The scope grant required a $10,000 municipal commitment at the time of application. Through a council resolution, Minburn County Council committed to providing this amount, intending that the other three municipal partners would contribute their portions based on a cost-sharing formula to be determined at a later date. The County of Minburn has since endorsed the local government fiscal framework funding model for Crossroads. So the financial implications would be that using the LGFF funding model for the municipal commitment of CEDA's 2025 scope grant, the town of Vegreville would be responsible for 32.6% of the $10,000, or $3,260. Communication strategy, it would be that Council CEDA's representative will inform the board at its next meeting that the town of Vegreville has endorsed the LGFF funding model and has agreed to pay 32.6% of the $10,000 municipal commitment. And finally, the recommendation from administration is that Council fund the town of Vegreville's portion of the municipal commitment for CEDA's 2025 scope grant using the LGFF funding model. Worth noting that under this formula, the County of Minburn's portion would be 47.7%, the Town of Vegreville's portion would be 32.6%, the Village of Manville's portion would be 12.4%, and the Village of Innisfree's portion would be 7.3%.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Can I get a motion for the recommendation? Councillor Berry makes the motion. Is there any discussion? Councillor Bullock?
I'm just wondering if, have you heard back from the other municipalities?
The next CEDA meeting is actually tomorrow. So with the county having endorsed LGFF and now, well, I shouldn't be presumptuous, potentially the town of Vegreville endorsing the LGFF funding model, the other two municipalities, I believe the hope is, will have come to some sort of conclusion as to what they're endorsing and how they would like to proceed.
Any other questions? We'll call the vote. All those in favor? Motion's carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. Your worship?
Thank you, Councillor Lemko. That's twice you've been deputy mayor here now. Okay, next up is CAO Ling.
All right, thank you, Your Worship. The next request for council decision is, the topic is amending of the Vegreville Museum deaccessioning administrative directive. So the town of Vegreville passed an administrative directive to set procedures for deaccessioning the Vegreville Regional Museum. The Museum Deaccessioning Committee has worked diligently to relocate museum objects to local organizations and regional and provincial museums so these objects can continue to be preserved and displayed. The next step in the directive will be to advertise that donors or direct descendants of donors may request donations with significant heritage value be returned to the families. Initially, council approved this would be a 2-week advertising period with a 2-week collection period. To expedite the process and prepare for the public auction phase, the deaccessioning committee proposed shortening the time frame to a 1-week advertising period and a 1-week collection period. Financial implications. The proceeds of the public auction will be used to offset the cost of the town for expenses incurred during the disposal of museum artifacts. The communication strategy for this is notices requesting that donors' direct descendants contact vegtown@vegreville.com will and have been released as follows. The Town of Vegreville website featured notice posted starting July 8th, 2024. Town of Vegreville social media, posts began circulating July 9th, 2024. Country 106.5 radio, ads will run from July 11th to 17th, 2024, 6 commercials per day. And news advertiser, posted on July 10th, 2024, edition of newspaper under notices. So the recommendation is that Town Council amend the timelines for advertising and collection under Section 4A and 4C of the Vegreville Museum Deaccessioning Administrative Directive from 2 weeks to 1 week.
Thank you very much. Take a motion. Councillor Barry makes the motion. Any discussion? Councillor Barry.
Thank you, Your Worship. We have had some pretty good response already, and in fact, we were getting response before we even advertised this phase. We are currently going through some of the responses that are requests and are looking at how we can fulfill them or respond back to them if their item has already been transferred to another museum. The aspect is that we have to move on to the next phase and start looking at where we're going to be at after we get this done. We do recognize that even though we're saying a week's time to pick it up, that'll be more or less a week's time after we actually manage to contact them once we have searched through our files and searched through the museum to find what items they might be asking for. Many items have been distributed to other museums, including the Alberta Provincial Museum, Archives, Reynolds, and a number of the local ones right around us. So far, we've had more than 20 different museums come in and select items that are pertinent to their areas as well. And we will be keeping a number of items within town for display. So we are moving along very quickly right now, and it has been going quite smoothly. And so far, we've been able to satisfy most requests that have come in. And we're hoping that will I satisfy them either by telling them a museum that was very grateful at receiving it, or that the item might still be there and can be returned. So that's where we're at right now.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other comments regarding the change on the timelines? Seeing none? Oh, sorry, go ahead, Councilor Ridley.
I just, for curiosity's sake and for the public's awareness as well as ours, you've had a number of museums. I didn't realize it had been up to 20, which is really quite amazing. Do you have an idea of how much of the collection has been dispersed already?
I would hazard a guess. We are still actually waiting to confirm with the Ukrainian village, Heritage Village, and they are actually coming back on the following Monday to pick up a few more other items that were there. So we're still dealing with their lists. I have another list that I'm working through. It does take us a little while to transpose it into the computer after we have the paper listing and searching out to make sure that we have the right items. A lot of the items also are newspapers, magazines, and books. So eliminating those, I'd say we're well over 50, 60% of the items probably distributed to other museums right now. So that's, I think it's going very well. And those museums that are surrounding us fairly closely and some a little bit further away are very grateful at having received items that actually reflect their community as well as Vegreville's community, because Vegreville's museum actually had collections from a fairly large area around here. So I think it, as much as it saddens me that it's being dispersed, when I see the other museums' collections increasing and improving, I think it's still a benefit.
Yeah, and it's nice that these other museums, especially the smaller ones around there, are all nonprofit, all driven by volunteers and putting a lot of time in. Okay, thank you very much, Councilor Berry. So, all those in favor? Carry. Thank you very much. Next up, CAO Ling, bylaw number 042024, mass repeal bylaw.
Okay, thank you, Your Worship. The mass repeal bylaw was brought forth last Tuesday at the Legislative Committee meeting. So I'll just quickly read the bylaw. It's not very long here. So this bylaw, number 04-2024 of the Town of Vegreville in the Province of Alberta to repeal inoperative, obsolete, expired, spent, and ineffective bylaws. Whereas Section 7 of the Municipal Government Act, as amended, provides council with authority to pass bylaws for municipal purposes, and whereas Section 63A of the Municipal Government Act empowers a council of a municipality to pass a bylaw which omits or provides for the repeal of a bylaw or provision of a bylaw that is inoperative, obsolete, expired, spent, or otherwise ineffective. And whereas the Council of the Town of Vegreville wishes to repeal inoperative, obsolete, expired, spent, or ineffective bylaws. Now therefore be it resolved that the Council of the Town of Vegreville in the Province of Alberta duly assembled enacts as follows. All bylaws identified as inoperative, obsolete, expired, spent, or ineffective as described in Schedule A attached hereto and forming part of this bylaw are hereby repealed. And this bylaw shall come into effect on the date of the third and final reading. And of course, attached is the Schedule A of the bylaws. And since we've last met, we have removed, is it both? Yeah, so we have removed just bylaw number 181B, which is enforcing the 2-hour parking ban in the downtown core.
And we're going to be working through that through a workshop or something.
And we, yes, municipal enforcement plans on reviewing the traffic bylaw and bringing forth changes to that. So that will be looked at in that new bylaw.
Okay, thank you. You will need a motion for the first reading first. So I'll need a motion for the first reading, Councilor Rowan. Any questions? There we go, Councilor Curtis.
Thank you. Before we got too far, I wanted to know if we're taking 181B out, should we not be taking 191B out as well to stay with it as it amends that one?
As 191B is only that one section of, I can't remember, 51st Avenue, where there is actually residential homes now. And there is no signage placed there. We have left that bylaw in to be repealed as some of those people need the parking for their residence.
Thank you for that explanation. Good job picking that up. Well, I know. You get a little rammy and you want to find out what's going on. Is there any other comments regarding the first reading here? The recommendation? Well, seeing none, all those in favor? Carried. Now I'd be looking for a motion for the second reading. Councillor Lemko, thank you very much. Any comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Carried. Now I'll be looking for a motion for unanimous consent. Councillor Barry, back up in that role. Haven't seen that for a while. All those in favor? Carried. And now I'll need a motion for the third and final reading. Councillor Bullock makes the motion. Any comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Carried. Thank you all. Thank you, admin. It's nice to get some of those old ones out of there. And we'll work through the rest. Okay, looks like council reports are next. We're gonna go with just the way they're written today. Councillor Barry.
Thank you, Your Worship. June 26th, I was at the St. Joe's General Hospital Community Board meeting. Things are moving along quite nicely, and I actually got permission through them to start working on some displays for the Vegreville School of Nursing that are at the museum. And we're going to be selecting a location there and moving some of the cases down there to maintain and keep that School of Nursing probably in its proper home at the location of it there, and a few other items. June 26th to 28th, Leslie and Sabrina were helping us with the museum deaccessioning when we had many other museums come in and were selecting items, and it was very interesting to have all that going on at one time. There were busy days. July 9th, ledge meeting, and tonight's regular council meeting. And most of the time I just spend myself at the museum trying to sort things out.
Yeah, I would say you could probably put one in every day here, Rick. Well, don't think that we don't appreciate it.
Well, we do get still follow-ups for them trying to organize as to when they can come in and pick up a certain tractor or pick up some other item that some of the larger items, they have to make more arrangements to it, et cetera. And a moving company was with me today for an hour trying to determine if they could get it fit into their vehicle. So yeah, there's a lot of communications that it's time-consuming, but it's going to get done.
Well, like I said, we certainly do appreciate it, Councilor Burke. Thank you very much. Councilor Bullock.
Thank you, Mayor. On July 9th, our legislative committee meeting, July 12th, I attended Collector Car Appreciation Day on behalf of Your Worship the Mayor and the Town Council to present the proclamation for Collector Car Appreciation Day, which is celebrated across Canada and U.S. on July 12th of this year. So it was interesting to see the Vegreville Iron Runners were out there and presented at the Homestead Lodge, and moved over to Century Park after, where some of the tenants and stuff had a chance to come outside and view the cars, and there's some good chatting, and some familiar faces popped out of the woodwork, haven't seen in a while, so it was a pretty good afternoon.
So would you say their change of venue was successful?
I would say, yes.
I really thought it was a good idea when they first started talking about that. That's awesome.
definitely a good idea, so.
Excellent.
All right, and tonight's council meeting, that's it.
Thank you very much. Next up, we're gonna have Councillor Curtis.
Thank you. For me, July 1st, I volunteered at the Town's Canada Day event, which went very well. The weather held off, bit windy, so we would put a tent up and a tent would blow down. We'd put it up and then we'd find ways to hold it down. Got to throw some color at some runners. We had, I think, 180 or so that put their name in, they're registered. So we had a few, I don't know, marathon runners. They did the whole thing in under 10 minutes. I barely got to my bucket of color, and I was like, where are you guys coming from? And I got to call bingo, too, which was very exciting. Made a faux pas, though. I forgot that during the X game, there's no need to call the N's, and somebody kindly reminded me that I was calling
Not for the letter X.
the letter N, that I didn't need to do that, which I thought was nice of them to do instead of waiting till the end. But yeah, it was a great day. There was lots of vendors there and everything, and yeah, weather held up, and it was very good. July 9th, the Ledge meeting, and then 2 days council meeting.
Could you fill us in on a little bit of the challenge on the color run?
Oh, well, so we had our, some workers from the town on the park side. They were driving around putting the buckets of color out at the station. So there was about 6 different stations. And then we had our volunteers go to throw the color, and we got to station 1, and they radioed in and said there's no color because somebody had went and stole all of the color that was there. So that was very nice of them to do. So I believe that station 2 became station 1, station 3 became station 2, and station 6 got up to 4 just in time before all the runners got there. Although those first 2 guys might have just not got color at some point because they were so fast. But yeah, so I don't know. I didn't know what anybody needed with a big bucket of color, but they thought it was useful for them. So.
Nice.
Very nice, thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Lemko.
Thanks, Your Worship. On June 27th, I, along with 2 other members of the MD Minburn Building Committee, toured 2 facilities, one in Red Deer, Crimson Villa, and another one in Innisfail, as we continue to move forward with our own build here. It was an opportunity to see some of the types of rooms, the types of I guess the kitchens, the areas where residents would gather, and just to get a good idea from the builds. And both these units were with our architect that we have, so they were both his builds. And we had a meeting there in his office, his architectural office in Red Deer. And then we have our upcoming meeting to discuss some of the challenges and some of the opportunities. And through that, we're almost at the point where we're probably going to have a wing, 14 units, built to DSL3 status of the necessity to. It's almost like you said. It's a necessity. Yeah, as we move forward with that. So I'm excited about some of the architectural designs that are coming forward from our architects. So it's good to be part of that committee. July 1st, I attended the Canada Day celebrations, not as a volunteer, just as a attendee, just to get to see what it was all about. On the 5th and 6th of July, I volunteered at the Pasanka Festival to work the information booth both days. Attended the grandstand show, and it was a fairly decent amount of people there, from not being the 50th year anniversary, this is the 51st year, but it was packed. So I'm quite pleased with that. July 9th, Ledge meeting. And then July 13th, I attended as just attendee at the Medieval Fair. And I want to just mention that the Canada Day, the Pasanka Festival, and the Medieval Fair, the economic boom that these events and other events that are created in our community, the Medieval Fair, it was we spent 50 minutes in line to get in. There was 2 gates, and that's how long it took to get in. There had to be 3,500 plus people. I knew 6 people that I seen throughout the whole place. The people that came to this event were from all over Alberta, and they're dressed as wizards, as storytellers, as
Friar Tuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing with that is that you didn't know who was part of the medieval fair as to who was a person dressed up unless you looked at their feet and they were wearing sandals. But maybe back then they wore sandals. I don't know, but it was a great event to be witnessing, and the jousting, the horses in the field, the grandstand was packed, and these people were from all over Alberta. And you go to the restaurants in town, you couldn't find a place to sit. And so that kind of, and the Pasanka Festival, same thing. Canada Day, when I was there, the people that as you walk through, you go like, well, most of these people aren't from Vegreville. They're from outside our area. So our festivals draw a huge amount of people. And I can imagine the fair will be likewise, and the corn maze. So, yeah, kudos to the Act Society and the Cultural Association and anyone else in the town for putting on these events, because they mean a lot to our businesses. And tonight's meeting, Your Worship.
Thank you very much. Councillor Rudick.
Well, since we last met, I've only had 2 meetings. Our ledge meeting on July 9th and council meeting on July 15th. So I've had a very small list of meetings to report on. I did have 2 things that I was just going to mention, though. The lodge report has been released to the public from the government. They had done a long-awaited lodge review. It's quite an extensive document, but one thing I just wanted to mention from that, lodges are in communities of all sizes, from the very smallest to the biggest. But as it stands right now, the need, sorry, I don't want to misquote this because it is that drastic, that we will be in such vast need for additional housing. I want to say that the increase is 64%. We have a disparity between spaces that we have, 66.8% forecasted increase in the need by the year 2046. So we know that the gray wave is coming, and it is precisely, ride the wave. We know that there is an increased need to be able to provide appropriate housing for seniors. And it's interesting to see that at the same time that we've had a very interesting proposal with the Child Care Cooperative. And I think the fact that we're considering both ends of the equation, both the youngest and the most experienced of residents, I think bodes well for the way that we'll be able to prepare ourselves to support our business community too. One other thing too, as we're dispersing the collections from the museum, I've had the request from somebody who wants to know what's going where. And I said, well, I think we're hearing in live time from Councillor Barry and from some of the staff that as the collections are dispersed and dispensed to other museums, that might be a nice way to be able to do what was the original intent of this council, is to make sure what is housed at the museum is actually shared with the public so that they can actually see it. So I think the collection that you just highlighted for the School of Nursing being at the hospital is something that we had talked about a long time ago, and it's great to be able to share some of the things that are in there, because St. Joe's was one of the primary nursing schools back in the day. So thank you very much, and I look forward to being able to see many collections or installations around town.
I can hardly wait for her to read your spreadsheet. Councillor Barry.
We are, as an item is deaccessioned, we go into the original ledger and we're marking where it has gone. So we are tracking all of that. And so we will be able to say with certainty where the various different items have gone.
We probably won't put it in the newspaper. It'll be the thickest newspaper that they've had for quite a few years.
This is the thing that has to be appreciated. It is many, many, many thicknesses of paper if one was to try and print off a copy of the entire items. And recognizing that many of them are newspapers and magazines and books, but regardless of that, they are very large ledgers, so we can't just start trying to display them all out. But at some point in time, the information is being recorded and it'll be saved in the town vault forever.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Councillor Riddick. Next up, Councillor Warwick.
Okay, on July 3rd, On July 3rd, I went to the Pesinka to welcome the Malinsky family. They are here from the Czech Republic. Their son is living currently in Airdrie and is attending school. I had met them through extending their visa, and they contacted us to let us know they wanted to come out and see Vegreville. So that was nice. Both parents were able to come out. They were very interested in stuff going on within Canada because in their background they work within some of the energy sector, so they were interested in that. They have a teenage daughter as well as the son who's here and will be here another year, so they're spending 3 weeks going through Alberta. I'll say we got the picture, but it wasn't great. The 3rd, as you might recall, a wonderful storm blew in, and they wanted to take a photo at the egg. I explained it was a weather vane, and I've never seen that thing move more. We attempted to do the photo where you stand down, and it looks like you're holding the egg. We have about 60 photos, and one of the kids is touching the egg. Not exactly pretty, but we've explained to them how to post it with the hashtags, so we'll be somewhere displayed in the Czech Republic at some point. But it was certainly interesting, and I have said before it's a weather vane, but it actually moves pretty quick at times. So when a storm's coming in, it did very well. And other than that, I had the Ledge meeting on the 9th and tonight's council meeting.
Okay, thank you very much. So myself, on June the 26th, I attended the AGM of Alberta Hub in St. Paul. It was a very large attendance. We had 5 of the MLAs for northeastern Alberta in place, and they all stayed for the next meeting afterwards, which was the meeting of NAGO, Northeastern Alberta Alliance for Growth and Opportunity. And we're really gaining a lot of headway with that organization right now with the health issue. We first took on Highway 28, and now we're working very strongly with the province and our MLAs and deputy ministers and stuff to try to bring solutions to the Northeast when it comes to the health issues right now. On the 27th, I attended the John S. Patuque Water Commission, and on the 28th, we had another meeting, a Teams meeting in Nago with Martin Long, who is the Parliamentary Secretary for Health, and he's our direct link to the Premier and to the Minister, and he didn't promise all the things that we asked for, but he understands where our frustrations are, and we will be meeting with the Minister and the Premier to move forward on this issue. So a lot of stuff going on with that organization right now. So on July the 4th, myself and Jameson drove to Edmonton and met with a developer and looked at some of the businesses that he owns and some of the property that he's developing. And we're just, again, talking to more and more people all the time about how they can come to Vegreville and be successful. And that's it's a lot of work, but it's going very well. On the 5th, it was Pasanka Festival opening ceremony, and it was very well attended. The dignitaries, our MLA, and I did thank the committee, the Cultural Association, on behalf of council and the council of the last 51 years of what a great job and how proud they should be as being ambassadors for our community and drawing the people they do. And I don't know, I might have did a Donald Trump. I asked Jackie Ray if she could fact check, but it said the largest Ukrainian festival in Western Canada. I said, I think it's all in Canada. So Jackie Ray from CFCW is going to do some fact checking and get back to me. Then I attended the LEDS meeting, again on the 11th, another economic development meeting. The same group that Jameis and I met with came to town, and we looked at all kinds of different properties and what it would look like to have them coming here and developing, and we're moving that agenda forward. Also on the 11th, the BDO Zone IRC meeting. And this is just, we're trying to identify where or how we fit in bales, in straw. And because there's all kinds of businesses all over the world that are looking to turn certain types of straw into additives for jet fuel and stuff. It was a good meeting. I understood a lot more when it was over than what I going in. We received an A rating for this area. We have some other people from this area, one elected official and then a farmer, and there's lots of good input coming in and how the process went. And we were a little disappointed. We only got an A rating. We were hoping for a AA, and we tried our best. But at the end of the meeting, they let us know that this organization has never given any region a AA. Well, getting an A is about the best you're going to get. So it was a very good meeting. So, and our committee's working hard to answer the questions that any industry that wants to be building gasoline additives or jet fuel additives from straw. And we've had many conversations with other companies and from Europe and stuff on using feed wheat, and we need to be identified as a straw basin in this region here, so it went very well. And tonight's council meeting. I would just like to say to the general public of Vegreville, asking for your help. We are seeing vandalism all over town. All the work that the Lions Club did to build that splash park and raise that money, and it's being vandalized all the time. We've seen what's happened at the Rotary Park with the trees all being cut down, and it's all taxpayers' money that's going towards fixing this stuff. We see it at the Kinsman Elk Park all the time. We see vandalism all over our community. And people in our community know who's doing it. So I'm seriously asking every citizen in this community to keep your eye out. If you hear something, please contact us, because it needs to stop. If you don't think that the Rotary and the Lions and the Kinsmen and the Elks and every other nonprofit in this town that's put time and effort in to build these facilities aren't upset, well, they are, and so are we. People out there know who's doing it, and every taxpayer in this community is paying to fix it. We need to stop it, and it's not that the RCMP are going to be able to drive around trying to find somebody that's ripping down the ceiling in a gazebo. We need to do this from the citizens' watch or something, because I know that there's people in this community that have some information about this vandalism. Please, do the right thing and report it to us. Sorry about that, folks, but I am getting so tired of this whole thing. Okay. Is there any other business of council? Seeing none, I adjourn the meeting at 8:18.